Okay, we're in the sugya of Avodah Zarah. I don't know exactly when to bring this in. I thought maybe now. Maybe we'll do it now. Um, one of the most interesting that I've seen over the years is the Rambam's introduction to Hilchas Avodas Kechavim. He goes through and tells you how Avodah Zarah started. So let's do it again. Did you send it out, Baruch?
Yeah.
Okay, so you should have it on your phones. You should have it on your phones, right? And as soon as you get it, I didn't send it to him. 1 second. I'll send it to. Let me send it to what's his name, to Maya.
Everyone has their own platform. Right?
Yeah, everyone has their own platform. Maya. Okay, Maya, I sent it to you. Oh, you should have it now. Maya, have it now.
Send it to me.
I'll send it to you also. But you don't have it in front of you. Look. Here's the Rambam and Hilchos Avodah Zarah. Bimei Enosh. Enosh was the grandson of Adam. Adam had a son Shes, his son Enosh. The Torah says about Enosh, "Az huchal likroi b'shem Hashem," and we say that "az" then huchal, they began to cheapen Hashem's name by calling it on inanimate objects. That's what Rashi says. Bimei Enosh to b'nei Adam tois gedola. They made a big mistake. V'nevara atzis chachmi oisei adar. V'Enosh atzmai min atayim. Enosh himself was from the people who made the mistake. V'zu hoisa tuusam. Here was their mistake. Amru hoyel ve'akel baruch kechavim elu. Since the Kadosh Baruch Hu created these stars, the Gagalim and these planets, lahaniges olam, to go ahead and lead the world. V'noslam b'marim, he placed them on high. V'chilek lehem kavod, by placing them on high. V'hem shamashim hamishamshim lefanav, and the sun, the moon, and all these things are mishamshim in front of him. Then ru'uyim heim l'shabcham. Then it's proper for Bnei Adam, the Shabcham, to go ahead and praise them, Ulefaram, glorify them, Ulechalek lem kavod. And here's the mistake. V'zehu ratzon hakel baruchu, legadel ulechabeid, mishe gidlo v'kibdo. And it's the ratzon of Hashem to go ahead and glorify and give cover to the ones that He gives cover to. Kimosha hamelech rotze lechabeid avadav. That like it's the king wants you to mechabed avad of his servants by giving cover to the Secretary of State. You're giving cover to the President of the United States. You're giving cover to the people. Okay. Since this entered their minds, they began to build to the stars. They began to build sanctuaries. And to bring karbanos. Ulishabcham, ulefaram, b'devarim, ulishtachvois lemulam, and bow down opposite them, k'dei lahasig ratzon habayre, to attain the ratzon of Hashem, b'dai tamara, in their way of thinking, v'zehu ikar avodah zarah, and this is the ikar avodah zarah. The ikar avodah zarah was to go ahead and to give covet to ones that Hashem gave covet to. It began with giving covet. It then went to building heichalos. It then went to going ahead and being karbanos. And as we're going to see, it progressed. The kachim oimrim, avdeha hayodim ikra. These are the ones who knew them. Lo shem oimrim she'ein shem elokah zeh. They didn't say this is the only God, right? In other words, there's what's called shituf. There's a concept of partnership. Hu she'yemayo oimek mi lo yarach melech hagoyim ki lo yascha kim kocham hagoyim. Okay. Uba'achas yivaru yichsu musa. I don't know what it is. And that this was this idea that Hashem wants this hevel, that was the Ratzon Hashem. As days went on, they stood up people, Nevi'ei Sheker, they stood up people, Nevi'ei Sheker, and in other words, these are people who they became the koimrim, the priests to these heichalos. V'yamru, they said she'akel, again, Hashem is still in the world now. She'akel tziva lahem v'amal lahem. Hashem commanded them and told them, avdu kaichiv plini, serve this star. Something. I'm sure I cut it off. Something kachavim. V'krivu loy v'nischay loy kach v'kach. Be makriv to him, lie bait to him. Ubana loy heichal. Now they built a heichal, but they did something else. you know what they did? The asa tsurasai. They made a tsura, some type of image in the heichal. K'dei the shachos la kol ha'am. Hanoshim v'akatanim v'shar amoretz. In other words, these Nevi'ei Sheker, they began saying that that what they were serving on high, this is what they look like, and they engraved them in the walls, and they put, or made images and set them up, and the people were serving these images, right? And they made known to them some surah that they created in their mind. In the Nevuah, this is what it looks like. They began making tzuros, underneath trees, on top of mountains, they get together, this surah has the capacity to go ahead and be mative to you, or go ahead and the opposite, to treat you awfully. And it's right to serve it and to fear it. And the priest said, if you serve it, you'll increase and you'll be matzliach. Do this and this, and don't do this and this. That's why you get those crazy forms of avodah zarah worship, because someone made it up and they followed along. Other liars stood up. That the koich of the or the whatever, the orb, the sun, the moon, whatever. Serve me this way, and this matter spread out. To serve these tzuros with different ways, different from each other. And to be makriv to them, to bow down. Listen to this. The kivin she'orchu hayomim, as time went on, nishtakeya Hashem hanichbad v'hanoira, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, hanichbad v'hanoira, was forgotten, mikol hayokum, from the whole universe, the whole yakum, the whole earth. Hashem was totally forgotten. Umi daitam, v'lei kiruhu. No one recognized Hashem. No one. It was gone. V'nimtzu kol ama oretz v'anoshim v'katanim eini yoidim. All they knew, el hatzur shel eitz ve'even v'ahechel shel binyan shenischanchu, that they had been going ahead and taught mikat nusam, from the time they were small, leishtachvos lahem ula'avdoi u'lishava b'shmanim, to swear in their names. Nebuch, this took place over 1,600 years, 1,700 years, almost 2,000 years. And Hashem is totally forgotten. The Chachamim shahayu behem, and the few Chachamim that were there, kigoin hakoimim chayotze behen, midamim she'ein Shem Elokai elakechavim al gagalim shenasu atzura elu beglalom lumusam. Now these people had a lot to gain. You know, the people who are this paro, you're serving him as an avodah zarah, the divine right of kings, right, was a very good thing for kings, right? That you believe that the divine right, that they're gods. I mean, I think to this day still believe that the Emperor of Japan is a god. I mean, they have such an idea, such a concept. So these people, they were making money off this, and they were getting covered for this, and therefore, over time, everything was forgotten. Aval Tsurei Lamim, guys, look at the lashon, a beautiful lashon of the Rambam. Aval Tsurei Lamim, the Rock of Ages, Lehoyu Shem Sham Makiroi Leyodo El Yechidim Ba'olam. Only a few people knew Hashem. Only a few people knew Hashem. Shehu Avram, excuse me, I skipped. Kegoin Chanoich, Umisushelach, V'Noach, V'Shem, V'Ever. V'al derech zeh ha'olam misgalgal, the world was going, v'hoilech, listen to this beautiful lashon, guys. At shenolad amudo shel olam, till he was born, the pillar of the world, Shehu Avram Avinu. The Rambam calls Avram Avinu, guys, amudo shel olam, the Amid of the world. Kivin shenigma al eisan zeh, since he was weaned, he grew up. Hischil ishaitit bidaita. He began to think. Who cotton? He was still a cotton. And he thought about day and night. It was why he was wondering. How's it possible for this thing to go ahead and be working all the time, and it didn't have a ruler. Umi Yisavoi, so who caused it to go around the world? He's not able to go himself. Avram Avinu did not have a teacher, and not anyone informed him. He was immersed. He was literally sunken in Urkazdim, being oivdei avodah zara, hatipshim among the people. For other v'imay v'chol am oivdim avodah zara. V'hu haya oived imahem, and Avram served avodah zara with them. V'hu haya oived imahem. V'liboy mishoitet, but however his mind was swimming umevin ad shehisig derech emes, till he figured it out. The haven kavat tzedek, the right kav, the right rational way of thinking. Midaitoi hanachayna. Avram Avinu, guys, figured out with his own chachma. The yedash yeshem elokai, and he knew there was a God. Echad v'umanig hagagal. He was the one who caused the sun to go and the moon to go up and around. V'ubara hakol. He created everything. Ve'ein b'chol animsa elohach chutz mimenu. He's the only one. V'yeda, and he knew shekol am toyim, the whole world were making mistakes. V'davish shegorim lem latois zeh sha'ivdim esakechavim esatzuras, and what was causing them to be mistake was serving the stars and the tzuras ashavet emes midaitim till they lost the truth. Uben Avram shana haya Avram as hikar as bayre. Avram was 40 years old when he recognized his bayre, and if you look at the Ravid guys on the side. It says the Rambam, he was 40 years old when he recognized Hashem. Ama Avram, Yesh Agoda ben Shalish Shanim, that he was 3 years old. Shenemar, Ekev Asher Shama Avram b'Koili. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Yitzchak, Ekev, because Avram listened to my voice. Guys, what's the gematria of Ekev? 70, 172. Avram died at 175, so he recognized HaKadosh Baruch Hu at 3. So that's his. But the bottom line is, you get an idea. This Rambam paints a picture, a sad picture of the beautiful lashon of the Rambam, painting what the world was like. People from, I always think about when I see this Rambam, people living in the rainforest. There were people in the rainforest. They've never seen civilization. They come out, they have bones in their nose. They're not dressed. They don't know anything. These people grew up. What? Serving in these heichalos, these tzurais, from the time they were young till the time they died. They didn't know any better. Hashem was totally forgotten. And in this society, one person is able to figure it out. It gives you a beautiful understanding of Avraham Avinu and the lashon of the Rambam, guys. Amudoi shel olam, just for the Rambam, that lashon, the Amud of the world, the pillar of the world. It's a very good marmakim for the Avodah Zarah. It's the Rambam in Perik Aleph, Milchas Avodah Zarah, Halacha Aleph. Gives a whole. And so when you do Hilchas Avodah Zarah and some bizarre things, you know at least where they started. Okay, Gufa. Let's begin share. Samech Gimel Amar Aleph. Gufa. Amar Avami. Ziveach v'kiter v'nisach. If you go ahead and you bring a carbon v'kita, or you go ahead and burn incense, or nisach behelam echad in one halama. You only chayv once. This is the same sheet that we saw yesterday in the same of Rav Zakai. Amar Abaye, my timer, the Ravami. What's Ravami's reasoning? Amakra, because the pasuk says, right? Because the pasuk says, so it says what? Because of us, when it says of them, do not go ahead and serve them. Right? The Torah is telling us that it's all considered one avodah. So if it's all one avodah, you only chayiv once, like Hilchas Shabbos. Let's say you did, again, by Shabbos we said we have mechalik, right? Over here, obviously, he's going to the opinion that it's not mechalik. You need it for a lav. Anyway, because umi amar Rabbi hachi, does Rabbi really say this? Amar Rabbi shalosh hashtachavos ba'avodas kechavim. There are the l'shayin is what. There are 3 hishtachvos ba'avodas kechavim. Lama, achas. It says it. Rashi brings 3 times. It says in the Torah. It says leishtachva lehem ba'aseres adibris. It says ki leishtachva el acher, and it says leishtachva lehem. And this ishtachva, the second dibris, Rashi says doesn't count because it's in Mishnah Torah tzarich. Anyway, so what do you need them for? Says Abaya. What do you? Yeah, 3 ishtachvos. What do you need them for? Achas lekedarka, for serving the avodah. In other words, that's the way to serve it. Ishtachve. Achas shaloi kedarka. That even if it's shaloi kedarka, not the normal way, if you go down and bow down to it, you be chayiv misa. The achas lechalik. And then one lechalik to go ahead and say, well, each one you'd be chayiv individually. So how can Abaya say you chayiv once? Abaya says v'shtachave you chayiv what? Individually. One for ziveach, one for kita, one for nisach, one for v'shtachave. You're going to be mechalik, right? So therefore, how can Abaya go ahead and say once? That's the Gemara's kasha. And for the Gemara, I'll tell you the answer. And for the Gemara, the Dvorav the Rabbi Abi Kama. In other words, he's telling you the pshat behind Rav Ami's one, because it says lace of them, he makes it one. But in fact, he himself, Abaya, held what there separately. So he's just explaining Rav Ami, but he doesn't hold like that. Gufa, going back over what we just said, Eskis Akasha. Gufa Amar Abaya, Sholish Ishtachavais, Bavoidis Kechavim, Lama. What do you need? Achas Lekedarka, Viachas Shaloi Kedarka, Viachas Lecholek. One to tell me if it's normal, one to tell me if it's not normal. One's go ahead to divide up that you chayiv in each and every one. Read the Gemara, Lechedarka, if it's normal, I don't need a ishtachve to tell me that. I have a pasuk. Yisham lecha pentinokesh achrayim, achrei yisham lecha pentirus aleim, eichi yavdu agoyim ha'ela. You're going to say how they serve that. So so from eichi yavdu agoyim ha'ela teaches us kedarka, guys. So why does the Abaya need an ishtachve to teach me kedarka if I know from the pasuk in Devarim? Ela achas kedarka ushaloi kedarka. One teaches me the following. Okay, this is funny over here, guys. Darka shaloi kedarka. In other words, it's a derech to serve it, derech kavod. In other words, we know there's certain avodah zaros that's bizayin, markulis throwing a rock, pa'or defecating in front of it, and then this avodah zarah is served b'kavodik, but his shtachave is not the way you serve it. So kedarka means the way it's normally served, and shaloi kedarka is his shtachave is not the normal way to serve this avodah zarah. So one for that, v'achas l'shaloi kedarka, and one shaloi kedarka if it's not the way at all. V'achas l'chalek and one to mechalek. Okay, our Mishnah had said, "Hamakablu olav belokai, ha'oim eloi eli ata." Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rabba bar Avua, Amar Rav, Kiven sha'oim eloi eli ata. Once the person says, "You are my God," Chalila, chayev. Yechayev what? What do you mean yechayev? Yechayev. The Gemara Lemai. Now, this is Rav saying this. This is Rabbi Avur saying the name of Rav. Lemai. Ilikatala, if you're going to tell me that the person gets skila for doing this, Masnisani, it's a Mishnah. You don't need an Amoira to tell me a Mishnah. The Mishnah says, our Mishnah says, if you're over, you say, if you're over, you're going to be chayev, right? So why do you don't need Rav to tell me that. Ela lekarbin. It must be that what if you do it b'shoigeg, you chayev a carbon, right? It must be b'shoigeg, you chayev a carbon.
He didn't do an act.
He did not do an act. He did not do an act. Okay? But he said, nonetheless, he said it didn't do an act. He's chayev. Says the Gemara, Va'afil l'Rabbanon. And even according to the Rabbanon, now who's the Rabbanon? Let's see Rashi, guys. Afil l'Rabbanon, go down a little bit. Bitmiya. The pligi Rabbanon b'krisus, Dav Zayin, b'megadef. Now Megadef is not, you're not doing a mice, you're just saying something. Megadef Allah the Rav Akiva. He argues on Rabbi Akiva. The Amar Megadef ain't a mevi carbon. The bein and Maisa. So Rabbi Akiva is of the opinion that you do bring a carbon, and the Chachamim are of the opinion you don't bring a carbon. So when you're saying over here Eliata and says Rav, the chiddush is that you bring a carbon. Is it even the opinion of the Chachamim increases who says you need a Maisa, and over here you don't have a Maisa? So what's Rav telling me? That you bring a carbon? You're telling me like the Das Yachid. You're telling me only according to Rebbe Kiva. Only Rebbe Kiva would hold Megadef brings a carbon, and Eli Ato would bring a carbon if you do a b'shoigeg. Like the Chachamim who says, "Hey, Megadef, you would need a Maisa to bring a carbon." Would say, would Rav be saying is then according to Chachamim? Vafilu Rabbanon, guys. The Filu Rabbanon increases. That's what you have to know. Make it second Rashi. Even the Rabbanon increases who says you need a Maisa. Would he be saying Eli Ato, you need a carbon? It says that you only chayev a carbon b'shoigeg if you do it k'goyin zivuach, if you bring a carbon to the avodah zarah v'kitar v'nisech v'shtachave. V'amrei shlokish man tanish shtachave. Who's the tanner of shtachave? Rebbe Kivahi. The amar loy bein and maisa. It's mashma, guys, that his shtachave is not considered a maisa. It's guys. Let's look at the difference. when you shech to the avodah zarah, you're doing an action, right? You ignite incense to the avodah zarah. You're going ahead, you're doing an action. Nisuch, you're doing an action with something. Shtachve is mashma that it's like within the individual person, it doesn't seem to be a maisa. I mean, I'm looking for an explanation. I think that must be it. The other one's involved in an object. You're doing something with an object, an animal, a wine, incense. Over here, what are you doing? It's like, so I speak, I nod I passionate myself, but I'm not doing a maisa. And only Rabbi Kiva would say Yechayev. Mechlal the Rabban and Sari being a maisa. That the Chum would disagree. So in other words, we have a kasha. Guys, what's the kasha? Says Rav, if a person says Eliata Yechayev. Fred the Gemara, what do you chayev? Chayev Misa? Rav, I don't need you to tell me that. I have a Mishnah to tell me that. Says the Gemara that you chayev a carbon. Fred the Gemara, l'chayre, that's only according to Rabbi Akiva by Megadef that you need a Maisa. So Memela, you don't need a Maisa, but l'chacham you do need a Maisa. Apparently would hold that what that. So Rav is saying is then according to what that's Yachid. He's not going according to the opinion of the masses. Says the Gemara, Rav Nami Rabbi Akiva Kamar. Rav says according to Rabbi Akiva you chayev a carbon. Oh, Fred the Gemara. You're telling me that Eli Ato, you say B'shogi, you chayev a carbon, right? That's what Rav's come to tell me. According to Rabbi Kiva Pshita, Hainu Magadev. What's the difference? Again, Rav has to tell you something you wouldn't know. If you know that from the Gemara increases, if you know if you don't need a Maisa to Mechayev me, so in Mela over here you don't need a Maisa. It's no different. It says no matter time, I think there is a difference. Ad kan lo Mechayev Rabbi Kiva carbon ela b'Megadev dichsiv bei kares. By Megadev itself, guys, it says kares. It says kares. Now, when do you bring a korban chatas, fellas? When there's a chi of krisos. So memela, I would say, since by megadev, even though what? It's not a maisa. It says yechayev kares for being megadev. Therefore, it makes sense that you bring a korban. Mashe'en kain by eliata, where it doesn't say kares. It doesn't say kares because there's no maisa. It doesn't say kares. I would think that maybe not. That's the chiddush of Rav. That even Rabbi Akiva would say what by Eliata that you be chayiv a carbon. Aval hacha over here, the loiksiv be karis. It doesn't say karis by avodah zarah by saying not doing a maisa. Emaloi kemashmalon that what this kushe ishkis. We have a hekish that amira alone will be mechayiv me. Now what's the pasuk? The pasuk is in fact the pasuk is by the egel. What does it say by the egel? Saru maher min haderech. They've turned away. Ashet sivisem. Asalem egel masecha, they made a molten calf. Vishtachvuloi, they bowed down to it. V'yizbechuloi, they brought kabbanas to it. V'yomru, and they said, Elehecha Yisrael. They said, this is your God. So what do you see? You make a hekesh between zivuach and amira. So Mamela, even though it doesn't say karis, the fact that it says vayomru in the same pasuk where it says zivuch, we make a hekesh, just like zivuch, you be chayiv. You be chayiv b'shoygeg a korban because there's a ma'isa. Who adin amira you be chayiv what shoyging. That's Rav's chiddush. That's Rav's chiddush. Despite the fact that it doesn't say karis, Rav is being mechadish that you would be chayiv karis according to Rabbi Akiva. Now, since we brought in the pasuk by the egel, we go off a little bit in a tangent. Okay, so what does the pasuk say? It says. Eila Elehecha Yisrael, and the pasuk concludes Asher He'elucha me'eretz Mitzrayim. He'elucha, they brought you out of Mitzrayim. He'elucha, they brought you out. If guys, what it says of Helcha, then it wouldn't be they brought you out, but he brought you out. He brought you out. So this Gemara is a Peldic Gemara. It's a Peldic Gemara. What does the Gemara say? If not for the vav in the word halucha to create, they took you out of Mitzrayim. Nischayvu v'sheim shel Yisrael kliya. V'sheim shel, this is a lashon sagina for Jews. When it says over here v'sheim shel Yisrael, means the Yidden. They would have been finished, if not for the fact that they were mishatef. In other words, they didn't forget Hashem at all. Halucha. So in other words, if you look at Rashi, fellas. Ilmale vav shebelucha, the whole kafru b'Hakadosh Baruch Hu l'gamri. They weren't denying Hashem completely. Sharei shatfuhu b'davar acher. They were mishatef him, a partner with something else. But had they not been mishatef him, had they just said helcha that the egel, and then they would have been finished. It's a Peldic Gemara. That the fact that they survived is because they still believed in Hashem. However, with an addendum, with an addendum. But in fact, had they not had the addendum, had they just had the Gegel, we wouldn't finish. Kit Hanoi, which seems to be Machlokas Hanoim. Acher Moimim, Ilmali Vav Shebe Alucha, Yischayvu V'Shem Shal Yisrael Kliya. Amalei Reb Shim Ben Yochai, V'alei Kol HaMishtatev Shem Shemayim V'Davar Acher, Neka Min HaOlam. What did you gain? Anyone who goes ahead is Mishatef, but that Kodesh Baruch Hu is Mechuyev Kliya. Again, we just went through a Rambam, guys, right? Went through a Rambam. Look what happened as a result of of the Mishatef. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants them, and the concept of Shituf that evolved, that these Tzuras had power, right? Look what happened. Anyway, Shinamar Bilti Lashem Lavadai. So in other words, according to Shim Bar Yochai, what are you going to say? Elamat Talmud Loimar Asher Alucha. What's the Shalucha? She'ivu Elahus Harbe. They desired many gods. They desired many gods. So according to the question is, so according to Shimon Yochai, they're mechuyev kliya. Fellas, guys, guys, look at me. If not for the fact that there was a vav that said they still believed in God, they would be destroyed. Said Shimon Yochai, what are you talking about? If you believe in two things, you're right to be destroyed. So Ella, why do you use that they desired many gods? They desired many gods, right? So what's the hezbah? They desired many gods, but not that they left Hashem. She'ivui, they desired many gods, it's Marsha, but not that what? They didn't deny Hashem. They didn't deny Hashem. They desired other gods. And that would be the way to answer the problem of, like, if Rabbi Shimon Yochai says Shituf is a problem, then they should have been destroyed. The Vav shouldn't have saved their lives. So the Vav tells you that they desired many gods, but in fact, they only served what? Again, the Ma'aseh Egel was the Erev Rav. It wasn't so low pashut. It was not all a Klal Yisrael. We were all guilty of it, sure, but it wasn't not. It was not what you think. Okay. Now the Mishnah said, "Aval hamagafei v'amenashek v'machave v'hamarbeitz." If you go ahead, what you hugged up by the zara, you kissed the by the zara, you clean up in front of it, or you go ahead and water it down, or you dress it, or you put on shoes on it, you're even a lesase. However, we said, well, if you make a neder, or you swear, it's a leisase. That's what our Mishnah said. The Mishnah said about it's a leisase. Kiyas Rav Dimi, Amar Rabbi Elazar, Al Kulam Loika, and all those things that we said, Megafef, Menashek, Mechabed, Chutz me Anoide B'Shmoi, V'Makayim B'Shmoi. Those you would not. Why? Because there's no Maisa associated with that. Maishna hanoide b'shmoi v'mekayim shmoi, the loy lucky, b'shem havi lav sheim b'maisa. Okay, guys, we have a rule and thumb. In Masech the Makis, right? I think it's right at the beginning. It says the lav of chasima right after it says the issue of the, you bring it to the shayfef, and the shayfef will give him malchus. So to get malchus, you have to be similar to the lav of chasima of leisachsim shor b'dishay. Just like the Isser Le'Sachshem, you do an action by muzzling your ox, so too, that's what you get Malchus for. When you're speaking, you're not doing an action. So Memela, when you went ahead and watered, or you dressed, or you did all these things that the Mishnah says, Eloi Sase, will get Malchus, like a lav, with the exception of the Neder and the Shvuah, which does not have a lav, and therefore a lav Sheba Maisin like in a lav. Now, there are certain other lavim guys that you don't get Malchus for. Lav Shaniti Lashars Mrs. Bezdin. You should give a Mrs. Bezdin, you don't. You give some other, you give the, for Malchus. You go ahead and a Lav Hanita Glase. You don't get Malchus for stealing. Why? Because Ve'eshav is a Gazela, right? You don't get Malchus for Shluch HaKain because, so therefore there's a Lav Hanitak. There's also, guys, a Lav Sheba Klolis. A Lav Sheba Klolis means that one Lav incorporates a lot of things. When one Lav incorporates a lot of things, you don't get Malchus. So the Gemara over here is going to ask a kasha. You're telling me you would get Malchus for all these things, right? Except the ones you talk about. 1 second. Loisa of them, guys, is Lav Sheba Klolis. You shouldn't get Malchus for anything. You shouldn't get Malchus for anything. Okay, says the Gemara right there. Okay. Hani Nami, all those things, Megafek, Menashek, so on and so forth. Lav Sheba Klolis, so they're all incorporated in Loisa of them. They ain't like it a Lav Sheba Klolis, and you don't get Malchus on a Lav Sheba Klolis. The Tanya. Let's say, guys, you shechted an animal, and the animal is still in its death throes. You quickly take a You take a fire, you broil it and get the blood out, and you eat it, and the animal's still shaking around. How are you not supposed to do that? Don't eat it. Don't eat al adam. It's speaking about a carbon. You got the dam in the mizrach before you spritz. Don't eat it. You can't eat till you spritz. Rav Daisa Omer, minayin she'em mevarin ala ruge bezdin. The sudas havra that you give to the oven when they come back from the cemetery. Right? How do you know that one is killed in bezdin? You don't give it, since he's right seach, you don't give a sudas havra. Talmud Leimar leisachol al adam. Person who went ahead and took somebody's dam, he killed somebody, or he's misa. You don't go ahead and you don't lo sachol al adam. I think I hope I told you the right shot. Rashi says al adam al nirtzach. Umistabu makmin la haruge bezdin. Shnaragan alayin shlein. He got killed for a punishment. Shlein yahagu behem kavod b'shum kapara. Okay, so as kapara, we don't give him kavod of sudas havra. Bottom line is, what do you see from this pasuk, guys? Multiple limudim from leisachol al adam. This is your classic example, guys, of a lav shebeklolis, because you just one after the other. Rabbi Kiva, I mean, minayin the Sanhedrin shahargu es nefesh shein toimim klum koles hayom, they shouldn't eat that day. Talmud leim leisachol al adam, since they killed somebody, right? They don't eat. Now, Rabbi Yochanan Amar, Ashar le Ben Sorum Moira Minayin. Where's the warning in the Torah for Ben Sorum Moira, which will meet next parak? Talmud Leimar Lo Soichlu Al Adam. Right? What is Ben Sorum Moira? You do not eat. Rashi says Lo Soichlu Adam Lo Soichlu Achila she Tihargehu Aleha. Don't eat. Now, this person, why are you killing him? Why are you killing him? Because he's eating meat. Like, so, and all these things you don't get malchus. We shouldn't have lav shebeklolis. So, okay, we still built up to a kasha. What's a kasha? You came from Eretz Yisrael, Rav Dimi, and you said that what? That everything megafek, menashek, all these what you're going to get malchus for, except making a neder and a shvua. 1 second. Good, I understand why you don't get malchus for ned and shvua, because it's a lav she'em b'maisa. But why are you getting malchus for all the other things? It's a lav shebeklolis. Said the Gemara, you're right. Ela kiyasa Ravin, when Ravin came up from Eretz Yisrael, you always have Rav Dimi and Ravin, Rav Ravin, Amar Rabbi Laza. He didn't say the name of Rabbi Yochanan. He said the name of Rabbi Laza, who was the Talmud Muvik of Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Laza ben Padas. Al kulon ein aloike. On kul you don't get malchus, guys. The opposite, guys. Yeah, the opposite. Taka, all the other things you don't get malchus. Why? Lav shebeklolis. Yeah. So why are you getting malchus for neder and shvua? Because you must hold what? A lav she'em b'maisa, like in a lav. No. They're not intertwined. Not intertwined. Okay. So we're going to meet among the Amma who holds that a lav she'em b'maisa you do get malchus for, and that will be the pshat over here. For megafek, menashek, and mechabe marbitz, but you're not going to get malchus. Why? Because it's a lav shebeklolis. However, for the neder and for the shvur, you will. It's a lav she'em b'maisa. This man the Amma of this brisa holds lav she'em b'maisa like in a lav. This is what Rabbi Laza ben Padas says. Maishna hanach the loyki dav lav shebeklolis hani nami neder and shvur lav she'em b'maisa. It's a lav she'em b'maisa nenu. And for the Gemara, Rabbi Yehuda. That goes to Rabbi Yehuda. The Amar lav she'em b'maisa like in a love. That says lav she'em b'maisa like in a love. Outside, guys, outside. What do you do with Nisa, guys? You burn it, right? You burn Nisa. You burn Nisa. Okay. Now, you can say so you don't get malchus for Nisa, right? Now, what did you do by Nisa, guys? You left it overnight. In other words, that's a lav she'em b'maisa. You created Nisa by leaving it overnight. So I could tell you don't get malchus. You know why? Because you didn't do a Maisa. I can also say that you know why you don't get malchus is because it says what do you do with it? You burn it. Memela, if you hold the reason you're not getting malchus is because you're burning it, it must be because lav she'em b'maisa you would get malchus. The only reason I'm not getting malchus is because I can burn it. Mashma, if I don't burn it, I would get malchus. It's lav she'em b'maisa. That man the Amma holds lav she'em b'maisa like in a love. That's the limud. Says Gemara. The Tanya. Like Sasiri menu at Baiket. Do not leave over at Baiket. Ba'akasav litain asay achalois asay. The Torah is coming to go ahead and give you an asay, a mitzvah asay to burn nicer. After the leis asay of creating nicer, I'm a base. Laima to tell you she'ain like in a love. You don't get malchus. Divei Rabbi Yehuda. These are Rabbi Yehuda. Why are you not getting malchus? Because you're burning it. In other words, he holds it's a lavanitak lasay. He holds it's a lavanitak. Right. Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yaakov, Rabbi Yaakov says, Leiman Hashem who said, that's not the reason you're not getting malchus. Elam Hashem David Lav Shem B'maisa. V'chol Lav Shem B'maisa ain't like in a love. Mechlal, we can infer the Rabbi Yehuda Sava like in a love. It must be Rabbi Yehuda says like in. When Rabbi Yehuda says the reason you don't get malchus is because you burn it, it must be without burning it. You would get malchus. I it's like Maisa. So very good. So now it comes out. What Ravin brought up in the name of Rebbe Lazar. Yifuk, Nishik, all these things you're not getting malchus. Why? Lav Sheba Klalis. What are you getting malchus for? For Neder and Shvua. I Lav Shem B'maisa. We're going according to the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. Lav Shem B'maisa, like in a love. You would get malchus for that. Hanoide b'shmoy v'mekayim b'shmoy. Harizeh b'loy saseh. It's a loy saseh. Hanoide b'shmoy. You made a neder in the name of the Avodah Zarah. V'mekayim b'shmoy min nolon. How do you know? How do you know? The Tanya. Where's your source? Where's your lav? The Tanya. The shame Elohim acherim leisaskiru. And the name of another god should not be mentioned. You don't tell your friend, you don't say to your guy, listen, I'll meet you by Saint, what's that cathedral? Saint Patrick's Cathedral. You don't tell the person there. You don't say I'm going to meet you by Yankee Stadium. You don't say these things. House of Avodah Zarah, you do not say these things, and therefore it makes sense. It makes sense that you don't say these things. Lo yishama al picha, shlo yida b'shmai. What is? It should not be heard through your mouth. Shlo yida b'shmai shel avodas zara. You should not go ahead and this is what we need. You don't go ahead and make a neder in the name of the avodas zara. V'lo yikayim, like a shvua b'shmai in the avodas zara. V'lo yigram la'acherim, and know that you don't always cause other people. I think when it's halacha, one of the guys, bisman hazeh is a shaila. Could you be a shutaf with a guy? Because you may your shutfis in business with a guy, if it's matzliach, may cause him to thank what? His avodah zarah. May his God. So look, this is sheyidru shmai v'yikayim b'shmai. Davar acher lo yishama al picha is hahara lemesis. It's an hahara for a mesis ulmadiach. Mesis is someone who incites an individual for avodah zarah. Madiach is a city. Okay. If I had to go on mesis behead, you could say, "Babe, why do I need the pasuk of what of lo yishama?" One in Mesis have a pasuk for a Mesis. It says V'chol Yisrael Yishmu v'Yirau, V'lo Yisifu Lasas Kedav Hara Hazeh B'Kerbecha. So why do you have to say V'lo Yisifu? It goes to tell me you shouldn't do this. Ella, why do you have to? As Hara L'Madiach. It's not for Mesis or for Madiach by Erni Dachas. V'lo Yigru Macherim Sheyido B'Shmo V'Shkayim B'Shmo. Messiah Leila Avu D'Shmuel. It's right to Avu D'Shmuel. Dam Avu D'Shmuel. Asa La'Adam Sheyaseh Shutafais Imay V'Kichavim. It's asa for what? A person to go ahead and make a shutef what? In my vikachavim. Shem yischayev lo shvua. Maybe while in mechayev shvua. V'nishba b'avodas kachavim shalai. And he'll go ahead and swear in the name of Avodah Zarah. But Torah omer lo yishama in picha. Kiyas ulam. And when Ula came up from Eretz Yisrael to Bavel, bas bekal nebai. Bas means he stayed overnight. Bekal nebai in a city that's called Kal nebai, and was called Kal nebai after the Avodah Zarah. St. Petersburg. I mean, it was called after Avodah Zarah. Kal nebai was Avodah Zarah. Amalei. So Rabbi asked them, "V'heiche bas, how were you able, Mar? How were you Ula able to stay over in Kal nebai?" Amalei. He asked him, "Where did you stay?" So Amalei said, "Ula told him Kal nebai." So Amalei. So Rabbi said incredulously, "V'ksiv v'shem elohim acherim leisaskiru." So how could you say you stayed over in Kal nebai? Amalei hachi am Rabbi Yochanan. Kol habayis kechav maksuv b'Torah. Any avodah zarah that's mentioned in the Torah, you're able to say its name. And as avodah zarah of Kal nebai heichaksiv, it says the chsiv kara bal koires nevoi. So nevoi Kal nebai, it seems nevoi is the name of the avodah zarah. So this, guys, the next piece of Gemara is a little weird. This basically is that the bal it squats down and it goes ahead and it just lets go of its bodily function. So it's a little funny Gemara, but it seems to be. I don't understand why, but avodah zarah very much has to do with defecation. It very much has to do what? I don't remember it either. I do remember saying some weird thing. I remember that the Gemara in Gittin says Yeshu. They ask what's going on. They don't say, of course, Yeshu. What's his punishment? That every day he's in boiling feces. Seems to be like the Avodah Zarah and feces seem to go together. I'm not exactly about par. So anyway, so it seems to have been a popular item at the time. Okay, anyway, Masav Remember Shashia. So Rabbi Shashia, so he stayed in this place at Kanabo, and he said you could say the name. Okay, so like Siva loy, the Gemara says, and if it's not written, you can't say it. Masav Rabbi Shashia, he asked on this. Ra'a achas meruba kishalish, right? If this is speaking about a zav, if a zav sees guys, 3 re'iyas in one day, he is a zav. By a zava, it's days. In a zav, it's pamim. Let's say he sees long enough for 3 times, right? So he flows, and achas, one big flow, meruba kishalish. That would be equivalent to what? To 3, right? Shehi kimigadyoin l'shiloi. The time it would take you to walk from Migadyoin, which was the name of Avodah Zarah, to Shiloi. And what's that? Shehein shtei tfilos u'shnei sipugin. The time it takes you to go to the mikveh twice and dry yourself twice. Harizeh zav gomer, he is the total zav. So what do you see? He mentioned the word niguv, gidyoin, which is Avodah Zarah. On Ravina, that also is mentioned in the Torah. Gad is gidyoin, nami, michtav ksiv, ha'orchim lagad shulchan. So in other words, einachinami, it's mentioned. Therefore, you could say it. So we had Nevoy mentioned, Kar Nevoy, and we had Gad lagad, Gad join. Amrav Nachman, Kol et sinusa, sir all et sanis is also chutz min sinusa d'avodas kechavim, except leit sanis associated with avodas zarah, particularly regarding defecation. The shai that would be permitted. The chsiv kora bal koires Nevoy. Pasuk says, "Karsu kora yachdoim lo yachlu malek masa." It seems he's not able to hold his load. I mean, he's not able to hold it in. Ukasiv dibru leegloin beis avain, that the eglois, the egolim of Avodah Zarah that had been set up by Yeravam, Yeravam set up these 2 golden calves in Dun, and he stopped the people from coming. So it says dibru leegloin beis avain. Your guru shechan shomron, ki avel alav amai ukimarav alav yagilu al kvaydai ki gola mimenu al tikre kvaydai ela kvaydai. From the lashon of it's kaved. So they're making fun that it's these things that are not alive are on their haunches and they're somehow defecating. You know, on Rabbi Yitzchak, my dechsiv v'yata yasifu lachdoi v'yasul lehem asecha mikaspam kisfunam at sabim, right? It says Rabbi Yitzchak, "My kisvunam at sabim, melamed shekol echad v'echad asa demus yirasai." These people came from Assyria. They brought up by Sanhedrin. Each person went ahead and they made the mus of the Avodah Zarah umenichem bekisa, and they kept it in their pocket. B'shosha zaycha, and when they remembered, might see him they would take it out. Umechabka, and they would hug it. Umenashka, and they would kiss it. The pasuk continues on and says, "Lahem heim oimim zayvchei adam agolim yishakan." They would shecht people and kiss their what? Kiss their calves. My zayvchei adam agolim yishakan. What does it mean? They would shecht people and kiss their calves. Rabbi Yitzchak the Beir of Ami shahayu mishasi avodas kechavim noisnei neineim bebalim mamin. Mishasi avodas Zarah. You know what? They wanted the money of the rich guys. So I guess they have some kind of a deal set up that if you die, you're going to leave your money to the Avodah Zarah. Such a thing, you know? So they want to just get rid of the guys. So here they came up with a plan. What did they do? Umarivim es agalim. They would go ahead and they would marivim. They would starve es hagalim. It's so very strange, guys. You see that Bisman has that also. Calves are used as Avodah Zarah. Cows in India. Mamish Avodah Zarah. You go to India, they walk in the streets. And over here you see Ein Chadash Tachas Hashemesh. They had these live things, and they were Avodah Zarah. And they would starve them, these Kaimrim, for Oisin Demus at Sabim, and they would go ahead and they would make a picture of the mus of these rich people, Umamidim mitzad evusayim, and they would put this picture of these rich people at the side of the trough when these starving animals would come to eat. So what would they see as they were eating? They'd see the image of these people. They would see the image. Umaitzin oisam lachutz, and they would let the agolim out. Kivin sheroyesam, once the agolim saw these rich people, ratzin achrayim, they'd run after them because after all, they're the source of food. And they would go ahead and nuzzle up to them. So the priests would tell what the rich people, you know what? Look, your avodah zara wants you. Go shecht yourself to the avodah zara. And of course, who's going to get the cash? There you go. So here's pshat. Zayvchei adam agolim yishakon. Right? So it's a little funny, guys, because it's backwards. It says first you kill and then the animal kisses. It really should be first the animal kisses and then you kill, because they tell right that it's the opposite. Because the first why are you killing? Because the animal wants you. So I'm a Rava. That's Rava's problem. So if that's the pshat, it should be agolim yishakon l'zvayach adam miboyle. The opposite. It should be once the agolim kiss you, then zayvchei adam. Says the Gemara, Ella Amar Rava, you know what pshat in the pasuk is? Anyone who shecht his child to avodah zara, amuloi, right? The Kami would say, Dorin Gadol, Hikav loy, Yavav Ishak loy. You brought a big rat, you brought a big gift, therefore let the avodah zara come and kiss you. Let the avodah zara come and kiss you. With Zayvchei Adam, who'd you kill? You killed your child for avodah zara. And then what should happen? Go ahead and let the calf, the avodah zara, kiss you. Amrav Yudam Arav. The Anshe Bavel asu es sukkos benois, and Anshe Bavel they made sukkos benois. My what is sukkos benois? Tarnagolis is a hen. A hen goes ahead and hovis over its young, so a sukkah hovis over you. That was the avodah zara. The Anshe kus asu es nargal. My what's nargal? What's the tzura of nargal? Is tarnagol. That's a rooster. The Anshe chamas asu es ashima. What's Ashima? The tzura of Ashima is Barka Karcha, it's a goat. Va'avim asu nivchas, change the gersa. Nivchas ves tardok. What's nivchas and tardok? It's kela v'chamor, it's a dog and a donkey. V'has parvim sorfim es b'neihem, be'esh, they would burn their children in fire. To the avodah zara is Ramelech va'anan melech, Elohei safar v'im, umayniu. What was the tzura of Adar Melech and Amelech? Is Hapered, the mule, a sus and a horse. Adar Melech is the mule. The Adar Lein Lamari Bitina. It goes ahead and gives glory to its melech by taking a big load. V'ana Melech is the sus. The Ani Lein Lamari Bikrava. B'shas Melchama, the sus is therefore. And Av Chizkiyo Melech Yehuda Bikesh Aviv, his father was Achaz. We met Chizkiyo. They brought Kavod. Remember Achaz? It was his father was in Russia, and when he came to burying him, he put him on ropes and he schlepped him along. Right, and they were, he wanted him to get a kapara. Anyway, so Achaz wanted to bring Chizkiyo to avodah zara. It's amazing. Lassus like Cain, he wanted to burn him to avodah zara, and Ella shesichslei imoi, his mother went ahead and smeared him with blood, salamandra, a vat of the salamandra. So now I have written over here Ayin Zayar by Yakel Reshut Aleph. I looked it up. It seems that the salamandra, guys, if you have a fire that burns for 7 years, and it's there's something called a fire salamander, by the way. That has nothing to do with this. It seems that the blood, I think we had it also at the end of Chagiga, could be that you take the blood of this thing and smear it, and it seems to be like a shtick asbestos. They had a way to go ahead and shtick asbestos. Okay, well, let's stop over there.